I've been talking to David Spencer. Now, he's the man who helped set up Police Now. He's now its CEO. And also John Apter, chairman of the Police Federation, which represents rank-and-file officers. We've just watched the film together. Do you see any problems with what we saw with those recruits, John?
No, I think that the passion that they displayed, and certainly from one of the officers who had concerns about policing when he was younger, but now that view's completely changed. That's really refreshing. And I'm passionate about policing. I've been a police officer for 27 years, and I came in the more traditional routes. So, no, their passion, their enthusiasm, their experience of policing, albeit quite a short time, is exactly what I'd expect. Of course, we had and have some concerns about the new routes into policing because they're not what we're used to. And when you break away from tradition, you know, policing is traditional. People within policing are traditional.
Well, let me put this to you then, because when this scheme was launched, your Police Federation colleague, Karen Stevens, described the scheme as, quote, an insult to experienced, hard-working detectives. I mean, do you stand by that view now?
Look, I completely understand, because we represent the voice of police officers. And detectives, there is a crisis with detectives. We don't have enough of them. They're under immense pressure and breaking because of the pressure they're under. Now, what detectives were saying to us was they worked really hard through their probationary period. They've been on response. They've got all sorts of experience to go in to be a detective, and it's not an easy role. And they felt it was an insult that somebody could come along after a very short period of time, you know, on the street, literally a matter of weeks, and then become, from what they say, a fully fledged detective. So I understand that concern.
Do people still feel like that? Do detectives still feel like that?
Certainly some detectives do feel like that.
OK, well, let's bring in David then. I mean, do you understand that feeling from detectives who've spent years on the beat and doing, you know, gathering experience, dealing with the public to get to the level that they've reached, and they see this fast-track scheme and perhaps it doesn't seem fair?
So I understand that completely, and like John, I came through the traditional route as a police officer and became a detective after a couple of years, so you know, I completely understand that. In policing, we need more people to be detectives. We have a shortage of detectives nationally, we know that. If we continue just to rely on the traditional way, we will never get those posts filled. And I think what the public really need is, you know, there are people out there in vulnerable positions right now who need good people, like Kenny and Larry, actually, as well as all of those experienced, expert detectives that we've already got. The public and those colleagues in policing, we need to find different ways of bringing people in, people like Kenny and Larry.
As a member of the public, if you call the police and either of those two gentlemen turned up, you'd be really happy, actually, wouldn't you? They were reassuring, They were sensible, they were motivated, and they cared.
Absolutely. And if I put it in this way, when Police Now first was created, I had real concerns. You know, I shared the concerns that my colleagues were telling me. But I then went out and met some officers who'd gone through Police Now, not as a detective, as response officers and neighbourhood officers. And I sat down with those officers, brilliant individuals, no better than other officers on the team, but passionate, committed individuals who just want to be police officers. I think the problem is, originally, there were some chief officers, chief constables around the country, who were putting colleagues from Police Now on a pedestal, saying you were the best of the best. And actually, after a few years, we want you to leave policing, go into other professions, and then share the virtues of policing. What the officers are telling us now is, I don't want to leave this brilliant, fantastic job. I want to give something back to the public. That's a good thing.
So it sounds like your original concerns are being allayed somewhat.
Slightly, but we have to work with Police Now because, completely right, we are looking to recruit 20,000 officers, which in reality is 53,000 officers over 3 years. We can't just stick to the traditional ways because otherwise we're not going to succeed.
OK. £20,000 per annum, is that enough for these graduates?
No, not at all.
What should it be?
Well, we've put forward a recommendation that it should be just over 24,000. That's based on evidence. And just on the point of the training, the new recruits, over the next 3 years, we will see policing have more officers under three years service than ever before. Our experience is going out the door. We need to pay them properly. We need to reinstall their pensions that they've worked so hard for. And we need government and society to respect us more.